What did we study in history this year?
The 1900s, well, most of the 1900s.
So what things do you particularly remember studying about the 1900s?
Mostly most of the wars, the Cold War and World War I and World War II.
How did you study those?
Mostly by reading books and seeing museums.
You read a lot of books about 20th century history, didn't you?
Yep. And I read a lot of historical fiction books too to my Newberry Club, which you can learn about on the reading and writing section of the DVD.
And we did a bunch of field trips and museum visits and things like that, right?
Yeah.
We saw a bunch of stuff that had to do with 20th century history when we were visiting D.C., didn't we?
Yep.
What did we see?
The Holocaust Museum and the National Spy Museum and the World War II Memorial.
What did you learn from those exhibits or memorials?
Mostly about the history of World War II.
What do you particularly remember about those exhibits?
They had a lot of exhibits about stuff that you never think about, of the World War II, you should never think about normally.
Such as?
Like the German propaganda.
They had a really good exhibit about how Hitler and the Nazis were able to talk everybody in Germany into going along with their ideas, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That was a great exhibit.
Yeah.
And what about museums in North Carolina?
I went to some of those. Not very many of them were history, but I did go to the North Carolina Museum of History, which had some good exhibits there.
They have a new exhibit on North Carolina 20th century history, don't they?
Yeah.
And you like that exhibit?
Yeah.
And you've learned some about World War II from your grandfathers, haven't you?
Yeah.
Your granddaddy Sugg was in the Navy during World War II, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in the invasion of Normandy.
He was in the invasion of Normandy, and he has that flag, remember, that came off of his ship during that invasion. So
yeah, and then my other one was in the best corps, and even though they're talking about it, you can hear it elsewhere on the DVD, which I'm not going to tell you because of spoilers.
Yeah, Cole Papa was in the Army, and he was part of the Reconstruction troops that were helping to rebuild Europe after the war.
Yeah.
But we also did some classes on colonial history, didn't we?
Yep.
And what were those?
The classes taught by Mr. Bob, who is a director of labs at the newest Natural History Museum in Raleigh, and who also does good classes.
He does special homeschool classes, doesn't he?
Yep.
And what did you learn about in those classes?
How to make atlatls.
And what else?
And how to press rope and how to make candles and some other things.
So it was colonial history taught kind of like their way they lived.
Yeah.
It was a hands-on natural history class.
Yeah.
And that was really fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've also had a full year of classes about world religions, haven't you?
Yeah.
What world religions have you studied?
Islam and Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity.
And you studied each one of those for 3 months, didn't you?
Yeah.
What were some projects or things that you learned about that you particularly liked from those classes?
The most recent thing that I did that I really enjoyed was making finger labyrinths out of little lumps of clay, and labyrinths are different than mazes because they have no dead ends or branching paths, which is the difference between labyrinths and mazes.
And people do those, Christians use those in a prayer technique, don't they?
Yeah.
And we went to visit some great places to learn about religions, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where did we go?
A temple, a mosque.
We went to a Hindu temple.
Church. Yeah.
And a Islamic mosque and a Christian church.
Yeah.
And Miss Donna would come in and do a special art project with each religion, didn't she?
Yep. They're really fun. The entire curriculum was really fun. And it was all designed by Mom. She's so excellent. If you see her, you should definitely ask her for some free curriculum.
Well, thank you, honey babe.
You're welcome.
That was a good year in social studies and history, hasn't it?
Yep.